The world is hurting right now, and it's time to rise up. As we lift ourselves up in body, mind, and spirit, we can reach out to others and be a light in a sea of darkness. Welcome to the Movement for Global Health with your host, Dr. Mary Zennett.
Lana Stevenson is an advanced cancer exercise specialist. She is a personal trainer. She is a black belt in karate, a published author, and a certified medical exercise specialist. And she works through MedFit, and we will be talking about this. She has an amazing story, and it is my privilege to welcome Lana Stevenson to our show.
Thank you, Mary. I am so excited to be here because this has become my mission right now. And I cannot tell you how important it is to make the public aware of what is possible and that chronic disease does not need to happen. So a little bit about my story and how I've got to where I am in my 30-year career. I was raised in South Africa, and we immigrated to Canada in the early 80s when apartheid was still very much part of the country. And and it was like right after my older daughter was born, I figured there is no way I'm raising a child in this. So we went to Canada. We lived there for 10 years. My younger daughter was born in Toronto, and we immigrated to the States in the mid-90s. But growing up in South Africa, Mary, you know, I was never exposed to disease. My grandparents lived a healthy life, both of them to 107 and 100. They literally died of old age with minimal, suffering. So that I didn't see that part of the world. We only got television in my junior year of high school. We were not exposed to the rest of the world, and our lives were very healthy. We played outside, we did sport. There was no fast food restaurants. That wasn't a thing. Wow. So we ate really well. I feel so blessed that I was raised this way. My dad, I can remember at the age of 10, walking into his bedroom and him doing yoga and standing on his head, and really, no white refined breads or rice or anything. So, but not forced on us. It was just the way it was. And it was fantastic. I feel so grateful. Then we come to the big America, and I actually had a Bachelor of Commerce degree from South Africa. I had a business degree, but have always been a passionate athlete and a competitive athlete at that. So when we came to the States, I wanted to study my master's in exercise physiology, but they didn't recognize my bachelor's degree. So I went through the ACE registration, which is one of the top personal training, certifications that you can get.
Yes.
And earlier in my career, Mary, I predominantly worked with high-performing athletes, different goals, and that's where I was, at that place in my life. And never, disease was just never something I worried about. Fast forward to 2014, when my younger daughter was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And you cannot even imagine how difficult that was just to even process. And then to actually navigate this journey as a single parent and, you know, just try and figure things out, and the pain of watching her go through what a cancer patient has to, because she has gone through everything. She's had 4 rounds of 3 to 6 months chemo. She's had 6, it was colon cancer was the primary. She's had 6 lung metastases, which has resulted in 6 lung surgeries. She had metastases to both her ovaries, which changes the whole dynamic of the cancer. It makes it a very rare aggressive cancer. And so she had both ovaries had to be removed, and she's had radiation. And at this point right now, we were given a 14 to 24 months prognosis. This is almost 8 years later. In fact, September will be 8 years. She's still with us, but she has inoperable tumors in her pelvic cavity, and they want to do chemo again, and she's figuring what she wants or doesn't want to do. And I have finally been able to let go and say, this is your life. You've done it this far, and
yes,
you know, and I've stepped back, which has really been quite amazing. But through that journey, I went through a lot of pain. You know, I had to keep my personal training business going. I had to still keep putting food on the table.
yes,
And I really, that was the first pivot in my business. I was, you know, I really want to be of service to people who have gone through cancer. Now, I could never understand, like, once my daughter was finished with chemo, a month, 2 months, I mean, I have a whole gym at home. I have my studio at home. I would say to her, let me work with you. She said, I can't, I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. I'm like, how can you still be so tired? And then I thought, let me educate myself. And that was when I took the cancer exercise specialist certification.
Okay.
Very intense and very informative. So that took you through each different cancer, because each different cancer, each different treatment will create a different set of limitations on the client, and teach you how to help them through that. And just moving in itself mentally is very, it changes their lives to know that there is still possibility. So that was my first pivot. And also while I was going through that, I thought, oh my God, if I could help parents, like, this was for me. I don't even know how I'm still standing, but you know, and so I wrote an ebook, and I created a course for parents of adult children diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
Because it changes the way you can take care of your child. Once they're not a minor anymore, it's really, you have no say. And so, you know, I try to express that in my book and my course, you know, the best you can do, and what is available, what options, and how you can communicate with your child, and how you have to let go. You know, you can't mother them like they're a 6-year-old anymore. They may have a spouse, they may have children. You are not the queen bee anymore. So, and that's hard. That's
very, very hard.
I mean, and even right now, like, they wanted to go through another round of chemo, and she's like, done, Mom, I'm not doing it. I'm like, she's not, I mean, she only went on disability a year ago, and she's now looking for another part-time accounting job. She's an accountant. So, you know, it's not an easy road, but there's a lot that can be done now. So as I found out there, you know, and as I explained in my courses, there's different groups, support groups. I've never made use of any of this. I was just struggling. I was just treading water. And so I wish I would have known what I know now in the beginning. I could just help parents in that way. And then, you know, and then in the course, I offer them a free consultation with their child, and hopefully could be of service to them as well. And then what happened, my healthy dad, who was my inspiration for
Right.
being an athlete. He was fit. He ran up until the age of, he worked as an accountant until 86. Hired at 86. At 87, he got diagnosed with multiple myeloma.
Oh.
And I watched him go down pretty quick. And this was a fit man, but he kept up his fitness. He did not keep up his nutrition regimen. Type 2 diabetic, and he had hypertension. So I watched his decline and his loss of dignity as he became incontinent and needed assistance to even walk. And but he was okay. His mind was still good. And he was on oral chemo, and this was all in the time of COVID. So this was tough. And then about 8 weeks ago, Mary, he had a stroke.
Oh.
And this took him out of the game. So I look at my little dad lying in bed. Now he's bedridden. He can't see. And I thought, no, people should not have to suffer like this.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. And that's when I added on another dimension to my personal training. I found this company called MedFit, who are just, they were like, God put them in my face.
Yes.
So what they are creating right now, and I think I'm one of 65 certified medical right now. They're creating a platform whereby they have physicians on board, and they have exercise specialists on board. Now, if a patient has a chronic disease, let's say they're diabetic, they can have a telehealth conversation with one of their physicians. The physician can write them a prescription, and they can come to me with a prescription. What that does, Mary, it allows them to either claim from their medical savings account or their flex plan, or it can be a tax deduction. So this is the beginning of hopefully at some point getting medical insurance to pay, because this saves the country so much money. Because I just wanted to give you some stats. Like right now, there is I want to get the numbers right. So right now, aging. I've also done a longevity and fitness course through MedFit, and then I've done another course which it's kind of like a GP, so that I can a little bit on every chronic diseases. And then as I progress, I want to do each disease like full on. They offer the most incredible education. They all on the same platform, and they hold you to high esteem. You have to, not everyone can do it. So it's something I think you really have to be passionate about, and I am, because aging is found to be the root cause of all disease processes. Right? So 75% of all aging is impacted by lifestyle. How can we get to educate people to change their lifestyle before chronic disease, before it gets bad? So the goal is not to treat disease, but to target the factors of aging, and then apply the lifestyle interventions for healing and health optimization. That's the goal. So right now, the stats say the health and wellness landscape is changing. By 2030, 1 out of every 5 people will be over the age of 65. Currently, 45% of all adults have one or more chronic disease. And by age 65, historically, the rate of disease doubles. So if we keep doing things the way we have been in modern healthcare, things are going to get a whole lot worse. So what is the solution? Longevity. Longevity is the solution for delivering, personalized care. And allowing the client to experience, a new states of healing, health, and thriving. So as far as I'm concerned, like this is a really, really exciting time in human history. We are living longer, but are we living better? And that's the problem. We're living longer, but with more disease. So if I were to tell you that there is a new path forward where we can live longer and better and enjoy a healthier, more vital life, it's possible. It's really possible, but it's trying to get that message to the public. But, the science is clear. We really don't have to settle for the story, that whole story of aging, as being an inevitable decline in your health. It doesn't. We can compress the morbidity window. We can slow down, and we can even reverse the biological aging process. It's being done. Just because we are born with a certain DNA, it doesn't
exactly
have to.
Exactly.
You're going to get those diseases. We can work with it.
And Lana, this is so groundbreaking because we talk a lot about 80% of chronic disease can be addressed with lifestyle. So we talk a lot about the nutrition, but we don't hear as much about the fitness, the activity, and this is so pivotal.
It's so pivotal. And part of what the mission too is to change the paradigm of exercise. It doesn't mean you have to go to the gym for an hour every day. It doesn't mean, you got to go high intensity for half an hour every day. Let's start with movement. Let's just start with movement. Do you walk your dog? Do you garden? Do you vacuum your house? Like, let's just start with people moving, because right now in the United States, the adults have decreased their number of steps per day by an estimated 70% since the Industrial Revolution.
70%.
Yeah. Right. So, and then this is according to the CDC. Screen time is estimated to be 7.5 hours per day for children and adolescents, adding up to over 114 days a year. Time in front of the television has increased by 1% per year in the past 50 years to a current median time of about 4.5 hours per day. So, more screen time, what does that do? It's associated with a lower psychological well-being.
Absolutely.
Less curiosity, lower self-esteem, lower self-control, more distractibility, more difficulty making friends, less emotional stability, and inability to finish tasks. It just numbs you like a vegetable. So and also right now the average adult spends only 1 to 5% of each day performing a moderate to vigorous activity. So this sedentary lifestyle is so it impacts your well-being so much.
It does.
And again, it's just trying to help people understand they don't have to go to the nth degree to be the world's best fitness person. They just have to move. So, less than 23% of US adults aged 18 to 65, less than 23% meet the recommendations for aerobic and muscle strengthening exercise, which is not huge. The recommended amount of time is minimal, honestly.
See, and I think that's the key, because I hear all the time, it's like, you see what's on the media, you see the workout gurus, and you're like, they're climbing mountains, they're doing, and I hear people that, I could barely get out of bed in the morning. So of course I can't, but you see the mindset? Of course I can't do that. Right. But what I'm hearing you say, it doesn't matter what you can't do, but it does matter what you can do.
Exactly. And it's mindset. And that's, and as an athlete, my entire life, like even when I've had injury, and I can't do what I love to do. What can I do with this injury? What is it that I can do that's not going to hurt me? And so I've discovered the pool. I've made the pool a big medium for me training my clients because it's so safe and it's moving with resistance, especially, the people with osteoporosis and joint disease. And, the pool is an incredible medium for that. And just even walking across the pool, back and forth. And I do deep water running with flotation belts. So there's a way. There's so much that people can do if they could just change the way I see it, and I've helped people with depression, people who couldn't get out of bed, almost get off their meds, I mean, it takes a few years, but hated exercise, but now love it because they can feel what it does for them, and the problem is people don't do anything until it affects their lives or someone close to them. Like chronic disease is slow in its progress and very long in its continuance.
Exactly.
As opposed to an acute disease, which is characterized by a swift onset and a very short course. So, my goal is to really get the word out there that I can do this at any age. The earlier people start and understand it,
That's right.
the more compliant they will be, and they start to feel different. And that's that's really the most important thing is that they feel the difference. So what I try and do, Mary, the way I try and approach clients in this arena, I try and use a client-centered coaching approach. So, I set a guide, partnering and facilitating their journey, revealing the opportunities and interventions while supporting, the client to apply and implement the findings into their life. And, the earlier, the better. So, with this client-centered approach, you kind of let them lead you. You let them through different questionnaires we have, and we take very intensive medical questionnaires and lifestyle questionnaires and psychological questionnaires. We do a very intensive onboarding process, and you learn from that the right questions to ask so that they feel in control of their own well-being. And help them through that, and it's step by step and it's slow, and the earlier we can start this, the better. Obesity, oh my goodness, obesity is so huge, and they don't want, it's not even that they don't want to. You think people enjoy feeling the way they do? No, but they don't even know where to start.
They don't know where to start. Completely overwhelmed.
I'm not going to go to a gym like this. And the food thing is not about food, and that's where we can help with intervention. If I'm not qualified as a nutritionist per se, there are enough people in our arena that I can I know enough to help, but I'm enough to facilitate, but I'm not enough to actually create a program. I'm certified to do that. So that's where we work with alliances and try.
Absolutely.
So that's
absolutely.
Even the industry don't know. Even the industry don't know about this, what we are doing right now. And the tragedy with personal training is you can become a personal trainer in a day, doing an 8-hour course and say, I'm a personal trainer. And, it's not, they're probably the younger people who don't know what to do with their lives, and they can injure people, they can hurt people. And that's why they've raised the bar so high. This organization, they identify that, they know that. So, I am so grateful to be at the grassroots of this, because this is where my heart is, and I just want to get the word out.
You have so much to offer, Lana, I've been in health for 35 years, big advocate of natural health, and I've not heard of this.
No,
MedFit.
it's new.
Not
It's new.
heard of this.
They've been around for a while, but not in this. This is literally brand new, like weeks old in terms of what they've done with the doctor. Well, not in the making. It's been in the making a long time, but now that we actually can do it, we actually can. I can get a diabetic client and say, have a consultation, a telehealth consultation with one of our MedFit doctors.
Right.
If he deems fit, he will write you a prescription to work with me. If you have a flex plan or a health savings plan, you can use that. You can use it as a tax deduction. I mean, it makes it more affordable.
And they can get, it opens up all these doors and opportunities that otherwise it would be closed.
Right.
You would be no option.
Exactly.
To have this personalized attention. The other thing I heard you say earlier is that for different types of cancer, you have different strategies. This is mind-boggling. Oh my word.
Yeah, I mean, even within a type of cancer. So let's say breast cancer. So if a patient has a mastectomy or a double mastectomy, there are a myriad of different ways of doing it, either using skin from here or muscle from there, or this. And lymph nodes can be permeated or not. So if they are, you have to be really aware and really careful of not to create lymphedema, which is irreversible. And it's that is just awful for the patient. And then
lymphedema is horrible. For our audience, I mean, the lymphedema, it's the lymph gets backed up and it just swells.
Exactly.
And it's horrible.
It's a terrible thing. So if a cancer patient who's had lymph nodes invaded or cut out and they don't have them, and they just go to someone who's not educated, they don't know what to look for. And also, depending on the way that the surgery has happened, there are certain movements that you have to ease them into really slowly, because they hold, sometimes they will use an abdominal muscle and transplant it, and then like they're doing crunches, well, they're going to develop the chest. It's like, yeah, it's each cancer, and it depends how, and with each treatment. If someone has radiation, you also have to be very aware of lymphedema. So you got to do a really intensive, in-depth, when you're recruiting your plant, when you're bringing them on board, you have to do an in-depth study of what they've gone through. And, the doctors don't even tell you. I can tell you right now that no one mentioned lymphedema when my daughter
no.
She had several lymph nodes removed. No one, one of the big things, which is in my book and my ebook and my course, being ignorant and not a drug using person, I didn't even know what an opiate was. Well, because my daughter was chronically on opiates for so many surgeries every year and pain, and she became addicted. And at some point she said, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore. Oh my goodness, Mary, trying to get her off those. She went into rehab. She came back. I've had to resuscitate her twice. And it's been such, but I was not educated. I didn't know what to look for. I didn't even know the opiate crisis in the US. I was floored by how this complicated everything. And now, thank God, she had a major surgery and a couple of months ago. So she's obviously back on opiates, but very controlled, and the palliative care team know. And so, it's a catch-22. Like it's hard to get her off completely, because we know down the line she's going to need them again. But I don't think she had to be addicted. I think she was overprescribed.
And that goes back to the prevention that you're talking about. And the only way is to get the word out that light bulbs need to go on for people, like people that are listening to us, wherever they're at, a light bulb going on. These are problems that potentially affect all of us.
All of us. And it's knowing the right questions to ask the doctors. I just put all my faith in the doctors. I feel like I could have prevented her addiction had I known.
Exactly. But you didn't know. And that's the whole point of this. And you have the depth of your experience and what you have been through. I mean, that alone we need to honor. Oh my word.
When as I sit here now, I honestly, Mary, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful my daughter's alive. I'm so grateful she has the tenacity and strength she does.
Yes.
And all I want to do is share that.
Exactly.
All I want to do is share that.
Exactly. As do you. That strength, that resilience. Oh my word. You know, when you have a child with crying, like you say, an adult, it's doubly hard to walk that walk.
Yeah.
They're not babies.
It is, because you really have to walk that walk on eggshells, which is hard in a normal situation.
Exactly. But you're doing it, and you're empowering other parents who may be in that situation. And Lana, the statistics of cancer are staggering. Okay, we talk about this and people don't, it's like, 1 out of every 2 adults,
and younger
in this country alone. We're not even talking about the global. We're talking about the US.
Absolutely. I mean, even in San Diego, like when her first infusion, 2014, she was the only youngster in that huge infusion center. Come later years, oh no, there are a few. Yeah.
Wow. And I've heard that even the children, you know, because we've got some cancer centers here, and we hear and we see the advertisements trying to raise funds. Babies.
Yep. My daughter in Toronto, her best friend's son of 3-year-old was just diagnosed with leukemia. How? It's like, you know.
Exactly. So we need to peel away the layers. I mean, we could talk for hours about the etiology, but you know what? Healthy lifestyle. When we say clean living, exactly.
Mindset.
It's everything you put in your mouth, all your personal care products. We've got all these toxins, pesticides, all of this, and they're impacting us. And we educate on that, but this is such a perfect illustration.
And I am trying to educate myself more and more on the environmental, because I was not very good with that. Like like I said, I never thought of disease in my family. It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Until it did.
And your family, you were the fit family, you know, the picture of health.
Absolutely.
And which is great that you have that foundation.
Right. So grateful.
But now it's time. And the light bulb for people listening is, wow, there's so much to be aware of. And what you're offering, Lana, is no matter where a person is at, even if they don't have any health challenges.
Especially if they don't have health challenges.
There you go. So let's walk us through it. If they don't have health challenges, say you've got somebody, say 62 years old, well, they're kind of tired. They're not what they used to be, but very sedentary. Where does somebody like that start?
So they would start with me, and, you know, doing all their background checks and all their medical and stuff. we would probably find that they're predisposed to something, being maybe diabetic or whatever it is. If there is a predisposition to a certain disease, I could probably see if they could qualify to get a medical prescription.
Okay.
If not, it would just mean they would have to pay for it themselves. But what is the price you pay for longevity?
So that's really the point, is you pay on the front end or you pay on the back end.
And the back end's not pretty.
Pain and suffering is unfathomable. That's what I'm hearing you say. I know that's what we talk about all the time. And we realize people are on budgets. There's, you know, so, but you got to make a choice and then let go of some other non-essential.
Exactly. Do you know that right now, chronic disease costs, I believe, the US $3.7 trillion a year. Now, if you extended that by 1 year, so from, let's say, from 65 to 66, no one got chronic disease. You save them from that.
Right.
They would have, it would save 37 trillion in US. Or it was even more. I think it was 370
you
trillion.
Can't even fathom that amount of money.
It's the amount of money for one extra year for each person without chronic disease, each person over 65. It's insane. And so, you know, I mean, so to walk someone through, they would just make an appointment with a personal trainer who is either qualified with older adults or chronic disease, because there is a difference in the way you work with the older age. And I've done that for most of my career. Actually, it's always been something that has been close to my heart. I've worked with someone who's a double amputee. I've worked with heart disease.
Right.
And that's why if I could just study all day, like I just want to immerse myself in the courses. I was like, I don't have enough hours in the day.
I know. There's so much.
There's so much information.
But you are, Lana, you're on the cutting edge, okay? The curve is shifting, and there you are. You're right on the cutting edge. So we really need our listeners to, light bulb go on, understand this. And number two, we're going to give Lana's links and read and ask yourself, how does this apply to me? How does this apply to somebody in my family? I mean, you might have an aging parent. You might have a child with a chronic illness. It might be you.
It applies to everybody who is sedentary.
Everyone. Exactly. And you are so well trained, and but we need people to really understand it. You know, when we talk about, Lana, it's like a 3-step process. We say it all the time. Okay, you need to learn. Okay, we're all, like, you're here with all your education and training. You're learning. You're always learning.
All the time. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know.
And I'm in the same boat. I've been in healthcare my entire adult life, you know, with 2 advanced degrees, and I'm always learning, because there's so much new, important information.
You know who else we have to? Yeah, you know who else we have to educate? The physicians.
That's right. I'm the first one to tell you, Lana, and I'm an MD. I've been a psychiatrist for 35 years. I have an MBA and advanced training in lifestyle medicine. We learned none of this. Zero. None. And it alarms me deeply.
Yeah,
it really
it's
does.
Very alarming.
I've walked the 2 worlds, and it's like, oh my God, and I've gotten to the point where we need to educate. We need to educate, and we need to empower people. So learn, that's the key. And we'll give Lana's website and to reach out to her. So learn, but then you have to take action.
That's it.
Okay. We
And
have
it's not hard.
flipping the channel society. And
Yeah.
it's like, this is your life. Don't pass up this opportunity.
So important. So
Take
important.
action. Put one foot in front of the other. Like you said, Lana, maybe somebody can, all right, they can walk for 10 minutes a day. Then
Absolutely.
that will become 15 minutes. And then
Exactly.
an hour. But you got to start somewhere.
And then you introduce little things at a time, you know?
Exactly. I've seen seniors with their little weights, and okay, well,
Right.
if you need to start with a pound weight, that's okay.
Yep.
It
Osteoporosis. I mean, it's
exactly,
insane.
exactly. So, but it's learn, take action. Okay, absolutely critical, and share, because the only way we're going to get the word out is to share with one another, with our family, our friends. And then, okay, now, with the COVID lockdowns, everybody was,
Very
inside.
sedentary. Yeah.
Very, very sedentary, and that wasn't good for our health scores. I mean,
it wasn't good, but on the other side of the coin, where I see the positive, is I've learned to train virtually. So I can train anyone, anywhere. I can take assessments anywhere. We've learned how to do assessments virtually. So it was something that I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? My whole practice is going to fall apart. No, we shifted. We had to figure it out. So
that is amazing. And we need our listeners to understand that. And I'll be honest with you, I worked in a hospital through COVID. Okay. So I talk about this. Okay. I am all for scrubbing and cleaning and distancing and all that, because it is real. If you have a chronic illness, that COVID is sneaky and it hits your vulnerabilities. And I really do want our listeners to hear that. We are not advocating to throw all that out. However, now look what Lana's saying. She is available online. This is amazing, Lana.
It's just how many people I can reach once the word is out, And then with nutrition, like honestly, as you were talking about COVID, I was not super careful because I did have all the vaccines, but I did feel I am so healthy. My immune system is so strong. Leora, my daughter, got COVID. I was with her day. I've never got COVID. And I think it has to do with my inner strength, my mindset, my nutrition, and my fitness, and my whole immune system. And I'm grateful.
I talk a lot about this, is that there was an article, I think it was 2020, but it said, COVID hit the world by storm because of 30 years of processed foods and toxins in our air and our water. So what's the message? What's the message? We need to learn and clean our lifestyles.
Yes. And it can be done. And like I said, I'm certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I am really trying to learn now about environmental toxics and growing food. I'm reading this beautiful book called Braiding Wheatgrass. And it's an indigenous, she's a scientist, but she goes back to the ground, to the earth, to growing her food. And just the connection with Mother Earth, it's, and we've lost it.
We have
lost it.
We have lost. And people think the only option is going to the store and getting the bags of whatever it is, chips or boxed foods or this. There's so many ingredients that are not healthy. And I'll be honest with you, Lana, the other thing is we're learning about people that live in food deserts. Now, they got tons of like convenience stores,
right,
but there's no access to healthy food.
And if so, sometimes it's so expensive, they can't afford it. You know, how are they going to afford organic fruits and vegetables? It's criminal how the system is, because those who need it the most can't do it.
Exactly. And yeah, that's a topic that's really dear to my heart and my colleagues, and we're going to be rolling out some things just in that vein, that we've got to start with the people who have the least opportunity to get this.
Right. And
how are we going to reverse these health scores?
Exactly. And that's all, like, I would love to even find a community, and I would, in a group situation, and I would give my time to even just educate on movement, on exercise, if that were a possibility. Like, it breaks my heart to see, I mean, a lot of the Hispanic community here, you know, even like the lady who cleans my house, she's been working for me for like over 20 years, and I've watched her children grow up, and they're all, you know, overweight. And I understand they can't eat the right foods because you know, so, and I want to cry, because it's not.
I'm right with you. Yeah. Our hearts are in the same place. And yet it's propelling you, it's propelling me and others. It's like, we can't sit passively.
No.
We're at a critical threshold. I think that's what we need our listeners, our audience to hear, is that these chronic illnesses, they're skyrocketing. Off the scale. You know, you read the data, I read the data, and it's so alarming. But what it means is so much more pain and suffering for people, that when we roll it back a little bit, we're trying to prevent,
educate, prevent, and change the paradigm. How do you see exercise?
Exactly. Well, that's exactly right. Because again, I talk to lots of people, but there's a frustration with exercise because we see the people at the top doing all this incredible acrobats and mountain climbers and fitness, and they're like,
gyms.
What?
Yeah, that costs a fortune. Like, who can afford the gyms with these fancy equipment? It's like, you don't need that.
But we don't need it. That's what we need our audience to hear. You do not need it. In fact, it starts up here. Shift your mindset.
And make the decision.
Shut the TV, shut the media, and say, who am I and what can I do? Reach out to someone like Lana.
I was listening to a really interesting podcast, and I'm trying to remember this researcher's name. She was amazing. And it was about the all or nothing mindset, which is more successful in achieving their goals. And it was really interesting. You know, it was not the all or nothing. That mindset sets you up for failure. And so if we can educate people that it's okay not to do it all. It's okay just to do what you can do. And if you can't do it today, because that's also okay. You know, it's being flexible. It's learning to be flexible.
That's right. And you know what? It's that perfectionistic. And I think that's true in a lot of areas. I really do. And I know, and even in young people, it's like, oh, I'll never get that advanced degree. I'll never do this. And then, so what happens? They get paralyzed with fear.
Right.
Paralyzed.
Absolutely.
And this is the same thing. It's like, I'll never be that Olympic athlete. You don't have to. You are not created to be.
Right. And then there are people with heart disease. Oh no, I can't. I'm too afraid. And then that's where I can come in and go, I can help you safely. I can work with you safely. You know, and we have a doctor monitoring us. We can do this together as a team.
It's so inspiring. Lana, you are so inspiring.
Thank you, Mary. You too.
Incredible.
I feel like I'm just me getting on with my life and feeling my heart. And I think, you know, day by day, it shifts.
It's shifting.
keeps shifting.
Absolutely.
And
You
I'm
know
just
what?
loving it.
You're putting it out there. You've done so much training. You're always learning, but you're putting it out there and planting seeds. And a
That's
percentage of even people listening today, they're going to hear.
Right. And tell someone, you know, just
Exactly.
just think about for the better good of the next person, of their life, of their people, their children. It's like, you know, I look at my mom and dad, and my poor mom, she's 84. She's amazing, also in great health. Like I said, her parents lived till 107 and 100. Like, but see, their lives were active. Now, my grandfather owned a dairy when they came from Russia to South Africa. And he would, 4 a.m. with his truck with a big silver urns, he'd do the delivery, pour the milk, you know, they were busy and they were moving. And like I said, we didn't have television till 76 or 77. And they didn't, I mean, they lived an Eastern European diet, which is not terrible, but it's a lot fattier than I would like. And it didn't do anything special, but they lived till 107 and 100. My grandmother, I don't think she lost any teeth even. She wore
remarkable.
She wore reading glasses.
Remarkable.
Unbelievable.
Lana, how about your book? We'll give the link to your book, but what's the name of it and where can people get it?
The ebook, I'll give you the link to all of that. I don't have the actual link to the platform that is on me right now, but I'll email it to you right away.
Yes.
And it's called parents of children who are diagnosed.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a journey for parents of children who are diagnosed.
Okay. That's so important. And I would encourage all our listeners to read it.
Yeah, and there's a whole course on it where I give a presentation of basically what's in the ebook. So I'll give the link to both. And then again, I also offer the free exercise for the cancer patient in that course. So yeah, and I'll give that all to you. And my website is resilienceshifthealth.com.
Okay. Resilienceshifthealth. We'll have the link at the bottom of our podcast today. And we strongly encourage you. Lana is giving us gifts here. These are pearls of wisdom. We can learn and again, take action for ourselves and our loved ones and share with others. That's the only way word gets around is, you know, we're bombarded with media. Okay. It's a firestorm, but nothing, you know, we live in the information age. Okay. So we have more health information than any time in history, but it's not getting to people because there's so much.
It's not getting to people. And also, Mary, how does the average Joe decipher between misinformation?
Thank you.
And real information?
Thank you.
You know,
exactly. Marketing versus depth. Okay, so we hear your background. We're learning. It's like, wow. Like we said earlier, when you talked about different exercises for different types of cancer, we don't hear about this.
Yeah, it blew me away. I learned so much, even having gone through 8 years with my daughter.
Right. And that is a lesson.
Yeah. And that's what intrigued me to learn, because I'm like, how are you still so fragile? Chemo's over. Well, no, it could last a very long time, if not forever. You know, side effects of chemo, you get neuropathy. It's depending on what drug they're using on you. I mean, there is so much to learn in there. And eventually with time, I'm like a generalist with all, you know, knowing a little about each of them. And of course, if I got whatever client I get, I'll go a little more in depth, but I just want to know everything. Like I want to learn about each specific cancer in depth.
Exactly. Yeah. Lana, It has been an absolute privilege and a joy to have you today.
Thank you, Mary. Me too. It's been a privilege to be able to get this word out.
Absolutely. So we're going to have the links below the broadcast, and we would encourage everybody who's listening to get the gifts, learn what Lana is sharing, and take action. Take action and then share it with your friends and family. This is it. We're right there. This is a paradigm shift.
There's actually another company I'm affiliated with called Helen Health. And they're also right at the beginning. Now they're working a little differently. They are working with personal trainers and nutritionists, but they are trying, it's predominantly cancers, that they want patients to get their DNA checked to see if they're predisposed to certain cancers, and then prevention.
And prevent.
Yeah.
And prevent.
So with nutritionists and you know, they have physicians on their board, and you know, and personal trainers who are qualified. So that's another company I'm working with. I'm actually going to talk on their show tonight. And I said, you know, I would send them a copy of this so they know they're an incredible group as well. So it's starting.
It's happening. It's happening. And this is the next step, getting the word out. Getting the word out. So Lana, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
We're so grateful. We'll have the links below, and I'm sure we're going to have you back. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. So let's digest, and for our listeners, let's digest everything that Lana has shared with us today. And then when we have her back, we'll be prepared. And
all right, we'll have a little group session.
Exactly. All right then, Lana.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. It was my absolute pleasure. I really thank you.
Same here. All right then. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.